Hey folks, it's March 29th. My name is James. I'm the president of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, and it's a beautiful day out here. Just amazing snowfall, almost Hollywood style snow. But let's talk about overtime and unstructured work. Just a nice, amazing snowfall, almost Hollywood style snow. But let's talk about overtime and unstructured work. So the only changes to overtime are happening specifically for letter carriers. I was going to say Group 2, but MSCs are part of Group 2, so as far as I know, there are no changes to the MSC overtime or application of it, except maybe under Article 17, but that's more about the assignment of work than overtime itself. It really is just gorgeous out here. They were a bit lazy in writing the language here. It says that insofar as practicable, the route owner should complete the overtime, basically. And practicable means that if it's possible, they should do it. Now, the next section starts with notwithstanding the above. Well, notwithstanding means regardless of what you see above, this is the steps that we're going to follow. And so what they can do is they can assign it to unassigned relief employees at straight time. Not overtime, at straight time. Then they can apply it to unstructured employees that are at work at straight time. Again, they can't do the overtime, they can do it at straight time, and they have to already be at work. They can't call them in. And then they would assign it to part-time employees who are already at work, again, not overtime. So how is this going to work? Well, apparently we're going to have to really follow their 41508 process and make the applications to say, hey, I got overtime today in the morning when you first come in, and then that'll be what makes it work for them. What happens if we call in 45 minutes before the end of our shift and say, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to complete this on time. I'm not sure they're going to send a relief out to take the mail from you or what the plan is, but it'll have to be somebody who's already there and already isn't doing overtime. And the big change for Article 17 is just one item, and that says, assign the work at straight time to available part-time unstructured employees who are on duty up to their daily scheduled hours of work. So that means not a whole route's going to go out, but definitely portions will go out. We'll have to see how that works in the long run. But then after that, it follows all of the original steps under it. So to relief, followed by part-time extension, then overtime to letter carriers in the facility, letter carriers in the other facility, and any other means, which could include paying an RSMC to deliver it, paying a manager to do it, all the different things. So we'll see how that works out in the end, because they're not using them right now. So I don't see how this is a selling feature to anybody, because they're not going to do it now. You need to grieve it every single time, but they're not doing it. I can't seem to convince them to do it, so you guys need to grieve it and make them cost them money. So we talked a little bit about unstructured employees in the application of overtime. Well, what are they? Well, they want to create a new group of employees called part-time unstructured. And they'll have the duties as follows. Amongst other things, coverage of known and unknown absences, collection and delivery activities, and any other work within the letter carrier classification. This may include structured and unstructured work. Well, what is that? Basically, they can do anything in the depot level of work. But you need to take ownership of your work, because if you let the unstructured people do it, then it's going to probably affect your values when they come to do a restructure in the future. If you got a lot of parcels, you may want to do them anyway, because if you assign those parcels to them, it may change your values. I don't know exactly how that's going to work. All I know is that the PDs track everything, and those parcel values that they do in a restructure are based off of the previous 48 weeks. And if those values are assigned to part-time unstructured, it's not going to be assigned to you. So part-time unstructured employees will work Monday to Friday, 20 hours a week. They can work longer, but it's voluntary, unlike in the contract offer the employee gave us last time when we refused it, was that they could be forced to work more hours. Now they can just do it voluntarily. But that will still fall under Article 17. It's not just a random stuff, but it does favor them for sure. If there isn't any work available for them at their own depot for whatever reason, they can be assigned to another depot within 30 kilometers of their location to send out to work. This happens with our relief carriers as well, and temps as well. So, and they can't have more than 8% of the complement of members at the facility be part-time unstructured. So if for some reason there was 100 members at a facility, they could have 8 of them being part-time unstructured workers. There is a condition, however, they can have 1 at any facility with 9 or less, just to make that work. Ultimately, this will make things cheaper for the corporation, but if you were getting overtime, it's pretty unlikely you're going to be getting it anymore. And ultimately, into postal installations, that turns into, like, in the Edmonton area, they can't have more than 12% of the facility, of the members in letter carrying be part-time workers. So just kind of a weird thing to work out, but it could be that have a very small installation, but it's unlikely. So 8% per facility, no more than 12% per post office. And annually, the corporation has to provide a report showing us the number of unstructured part-time persons per facility in the country to help us keep track of that. They do kind of get the short end of the stick here, but I guess it kind of goes with structured versus unstructured work. So for a regular letter carrier, they can't just delete your position. They have to remove it with a restructure. They have to find some place for all those delivery addresses to go, and then they would, in theory, delete a position by reducing the number of routes. But for unstructured part-time, it just says if the company feels it's required, they can delete that position. Now, as far as I can tell, Article 53, which is job security, still applies to these members, but it won't for a while because none of these positions will exist until after the signing of the collective agreement, and that'll take 5 years for those members to get that job security. So, rise and fall with these positions. They can come and go as the corporation kind of sees fit. So one of the biggest things I see as a problem here is that people will be tempted to give away their work to end their day earlier because they continue to get paid their 8 hours. That's not a good idea. I really don't think it is. I suspect on the PDTs, the part-time unstructured, will scan the parcels to themselves. I think that they will record the mail going elsewhere. I just don't think it's a good idea. I think you need to take possession of your work. You need to own it. You need to try and get that overtime. You need to stay there the whole day and get it done. There really isn't a choice in this. Because if they start assigning all this work to all of them, they're going to come after your route values for it. So keep that in mind. But we'll get through this. At this point, I'm going to try to largely transition to talking about the contract as a whole, or individual parts of the contract, not so much the yes or no. There's been lots of people yelling and screaming either way, but let's have a discussion about this. If you think that I've said something wrong about this, please go ahead and comment that below. I need to know that because a lot of these things are based off an interpretation. And at our regional meeting, they told us there wasn't going to be a meeting for us to discuss these things amongst the executive levels before I present them to you. So I'm learning it. Well, I'm probably a little further ahead than a lot of you, but I'm learning it. So if you think I've said something wrong, please comment that below. All right, have a great day. Next time we'll talk about the weekend delivery and the significant problems I have with that.